Old John of Gaunt, time-honoured Lancaster, hast thou, according to thy oath and band, brought hither Henry Hereford, thy bold son, here to make good the boisterous late appeal, which then our leisure would not let us hear, against the Duke of Norfolk, Thomas Mowbray?
I have, my liege.
Tell me, moreover, hast thou sounded him if he appeal the Duke on ancient malice, or worthily, as a good subject should, on some known ground of treachery in him?
As near as I could sift him on that argument, on some apparent danger seen in him, I bet your highness no inveterate malice.
Then call them to our presence. Face to face and frowning brow to brow, ourselves will hear the accuser and the accused freely speak. High-stomached are they both, and full of ire, in rage deaf as the sea, hasty as fire.
Many years of happy days befall, my gracious sovereign, my most loving liege. Each day still better others' happiness, until the heavens, envying earth's good hap, add an immortal title to your crown.
We thank you both, yet one but flatters us, as well appeareth by the cause you come, namely, to appeal each other of high treason. Cousin of Hereford, what dost thou object against the Duke of Norfolk, Thomas Mowbray?
First, Heaven be the record to my speech! In the devotion of a subject's love, tendering the precious safety of my prince, and free from other misbegotten hate, come I, appellant, to this princely present. Now, Thomas Mowbray, do I turn to thee, and mark my greeting well. For what I speak, my body shall make good upon this earth, or my divine soul answer it in heaven. Thou art a traitor and a miscreant, too good to be so, and too bad to live, since the more fair and crystal is the sky, the uglier seem the clouds that in it fly. Once more, the more to aggravate the note, with a foul traitor's name stuff I thy throat, and wish, so please my sovereign, ere I move, what my tongue speaks my right drawn sword may prove. Let not my cold words here accuse my zeal. 'Tis not the trial of a woman's war. The bitter clamour of two eager tongues can arbitrate this cause betwixt us twain. The blood is hot, that must be cooled for this. Yet can I not of such tame patience boast, as to be hushed, and not at all to say. First, the fair reverence of your highness curbs me from giving reins and spurs to my free speech, which else would boast until it had returned these terms of treason double down his throat, setting aside his high blood royalty, and let him be no kinsman to my liege. I do defy him, and I spit at him. Call him a slanderous coward and a villain, which to maintain I would allow him aught and meet him where I died. To run afoot even to the frozen ridges of the Alps, or any other ground inhabitable, wherever Englishman durst set his foot. Meantime let this defend my loyalty. By all my hopes, most falsely doth he lie. Poor trembling coward, there I throw my gate, disclaiming here the kindred of the king, and laying aside my high blood royalty, which fear, not reverence, makes thee to accept. If guilty dread have left thee so much strength as to take up mine honour's pawn, then stoop. By that and all the right of knighthood else will I make good against thee. Arm to arm, what I have spoke, or thou canst worse devise. Or take it up, and by that sword I swear, which gently laid my knighthood on my shoulder, I'll answer thee in any fair degree, or chivalrous design of knightly trial. And when I mount, alive may I not light, if I be traitor or unjustly fight.
What doth our cousin lay to Mowbray's charge? It must be great that can inherit us so much as of a thought of ill in him.
Look what I speak. My life shall prove it true, that Mowbray hath received 8,000 nobles in the name of lendings for your highness soldiers, to which he hath detained for lewd employment, like a false traitor and injurious villain. Besides, I say, and will in battle prove, or here or elsewhere, to the furthest verge that ever was surveyed by English eye, that all the treasons for these 18 years, complotted and contrived in this land, fetch from false Mowbray their first-headed spring. Further, I say, and further will maintain, upon his bad life, to make all this good, that he did plot the Duke of Gloucester's death. Yeah, suggested soon believing adversaries, and consequently, like a traitor coward, sluiced out his innocent soul through streams of blood, which blood, like sacrificing Abel's cried, even from the tongueless caverns of the earth, to me for justice and rough chastisement. And by the glorious worth of my descent, this arm shall do it, or if this life be spent.
How high a pitch his resolution soars! Thomas of Norfolk, what sayest thou to this?
Oh, let my sovereign turn away his face, and bid his ears a little while be deaf, till I have told this slander of his blood, how God and good men hate so foul a liar.
Mowbray, impartial are our eyes and ears. Were he my brother, nay, my kingdom's heir, as he is but my father's brother's son, now, by my scepter's oar, I make a vow. Such neighbor nearness to our sacred blood should nothing privilege him nor partialize the unstooping firmness of my upright soul. He is our subject. Mowbray, so art thou. Free speech and fearless I to thee allow.
Then bowling broke, as lower to thy heart, through the false passage of thy throat, thou liest. 3 parts of that receipt I had for Calais dispersed I duly to his highness soldiers. The other part reserved I by consent, for that my sovereign liege was in my debt, upon remainder of a dear account, since last I went a fraught to fetch his queen. Now swallow down that lie, for Gloucester's death I slew him not, but to my own disgrace neglected my sworn duty in that case. For you, my noble lord of Lancaster, the honourable father to my foe, once did I lay in ambush for your life, a trespass that doth vex my grieved soul. But here I last received the sacrament. I did confess it, and exactly begged your gracious pardon. And I hope I had it. This is my fault. As for the rest appealed, it issues from the rancor of a villain, a recreant and most degenerate traitor, which in myself I boldly will defend, and interchangeably hurl down my gaze upon this overweening traitor's foot, to prove myself a loyal gentleman, even in the best blood chambered in his bosom. In haste whereof most heartily I pray your highness to assign on trial day.
Wrath kindled, gentlemen, be ruled by me. Let's purge this choler without letting blood. This we prescribe, though no physician deep malice makes too deep incision. Forget, forgive, conclude, and be agreed. Our doctors say this is no month to bleed. Good uncle, let this end where it begun. We'll calm the Duke of Norfolk, you, your son.
To me a makepeace shall become my age. Throw down my son, the Duke of Norfolk's gage.
And Norfolk throw down his.
Win, Harry, win! Obedience bids I should not bid again.
Norfolk throw down we bid. There is no boot.
Myself I throw, dread sovereign, at thy foot. My life thou shalt command, but not my shame. The one my duty owes, but my fair name, despite of death that lives upon my grave. The doctor's honour's use thou shalt not have. I am disgraced, impeached, and baffled here, pierced to the soul with slander's venom spear, to which no balm can cure but his heart's blood, which breathes this poison.
Rage must be withstood. Give me his gauge. Lions make leopards tame.
Yea, but not change his spot. Take but my shame, and I resign my gate. My dear, dear lord, the purest treasure mortal times afford is spotless reputation. That away! Men are but gilded loam or painted clay. A jewel in a 10 times barred up chest is a bold spirit in a loyal breast. Mine honor is my life, both grow in one. Take honor from me, and my life is done. Then, dear my liege, mine honor, let me try. In that I live, and for that will I die.
Cousin, throw up your gauge. Do you begin?
Now, God defend my soul from such deep sin. Shall I seem crestfallen in my father's sight? Or with pale, bigger fear impeach my heart before this out-dare dastard? Ere my tongue shall wound my honor with such feeble wrong, or sound so base upon, my teeth shall tear the slavish motive of recanting fear, and spit it, bleeding, in his high disgrace, where shame doth harbor, even in Mowbray's face.
We were not born to sue, but to command, which, since we cannot do to make you friends, be ready, as your lives shall answer it. At Coventry upon St. Lambert's Day, there shall your swords and lances arbitrate the swelling difference of your settled hate. Since we cannot atone you, we shall see justice design the victor's chivalry. Lord Marshal, command our officers at arms. Be ready to direct these home alarms.
Alas, the part I had at Woodstock's blood doth more solicit me than your exclaims to stir against the butchers of his life. What sense correction lieth in those hands, which made the fault that we cannot correct, but we are quarrel to the will of heaven, who, when they see the hours ripe on earth, will rain hard vengeance on offenders' heads.
Finds brotherhood in thee no sharper spur? Hath love in thy old blood no living fire? Edward's 7 sons, whereof thyself art one, whereas 7 vials of his sacred blood, or 7 fair branches springing from one root. Some of those 7 are dried by nature's course, some of those branches by the destiny's cut. But Thomas, my dear lord, my life, my Gloucester, 1 vial full of Edward's sacred blood, 1 flourishing branch of his most royal root is cracked, and all the precious liquor spilt is hacked down, and his summer leaves all faded by envy's hand and murder's bloody axe. Ah, Gaunt, his blood was thine. That bed, that womb, that metal, that self, mold that fashioned thee, made him a man. And though thou livest and breathest, yet art thou slain in him. Thou dost consent in some large measure to thy father's death, in that thou seest thy wretched brother die, who was the model of thy father's life. Call it not patience, Gaunt, it is despair. In suffering thus thy brother to be slaughtered, thou showest the naked pathway to thy life, teaching stern murder how to butcher thee. That which, in mean men we entitle patience, is pale, cold cowardice in noble breasts. What shall I say? To safeguard thine own life, the best way is to avenge my Gloucester's death.
God's is the quarrel, for God's substitute, his deputy anointed in his sight, hath caused his death, which if wrongfully let heaven revenge, for I may never lift an angry arm against his minister.
Where then, alas, may I complain myself?
To God, the widow's champion and defense.
Why then, I will. Farewell, old God. Thou goest to Coventry, there to behold our cousin Hereford and fell Mowbray fight. Oh, set my husband's wrongs on Hereford's spear, that it may enter Butcher Mowbray's breast. Or, if misfortune miss the first career, be Mowbray's sins so heavy in his bosom that they may break his foaming courser's back and throw the rider headlong in the lists. A caitiff recreant to my cousin Hereford. Farewell, old God. Thy sometimes brother's wife with her companion grief must end her life.
Sister, farewell. I must to Coventry. As much good stay with thee as go with me.
Yet one word more. Grief boundeth where it falls, not with the empty hollowness, but wait. I take my leave before I have begun, for sorrow ends not when it seemeth done. Commend me to thy brother, Edmund York. Lo, this is all. Nay, yet depart not so. Though this be all, do not so quickly go. I shall remember more. Bid him... what? With all good speed, at Plashy visit me. Alack, and what shall good old York there see but empty lodgings and unfurnished walls, unpeopled offices, untrodden stones, and what here there for welcome but my groans? Therefore commend me. Let him not come there, to seek out sorrow that dwells everywhere. Desolate, desolate, will I hence and die. The last leave of thee takes my weeping eye.
My lord Omer, is Harry Hereford armed?
Yeah, at all points, and longs to enter in.
The Duke of Norfolk, spritefully and bold, says but the summons of the appellant's trumpet.
Why, then the champions are prepared and stay for nothing but his majesty's approach.
Marshal, demand of yonder champion the cause of his arrival here in arms. Ask him his name and orderly proceed to swear him in the justice of his cause.
In God's name and the king's, say who thou art, and why thou comest thus nightly clad in arms, against what man thou comest, and what thy quarrel. Speak truly on thy knighthood and thy oath, and so defend thee heaven and thy valor. My name is Thomas Mowbray, Duke of Norfolk, who hither come engaged by my oath, which God defend and I should violate, both to defend my loyalty and truth to God, my king, in my succeeding issue against the Duke of Hereford, that appeals me, and by the grace of God, and this mine arm, to prove him, in defending of myself, a traitor to my God, my king, and me, and as I truly fight, defend me, heaven!
Marshal, ask yonder knight in arms, both who he is and why he cometh hither, thus plated in habiliments of war, and formally according to our law. depose him in the justice of his cause.
What is thy name? And wherefore comest thou hither before King Richard in his royal lists? Against whom comest thou? And what's thy quarrel? Speak like a true knight, so defend thee heaven. Harry of Hereford, Lancaster, and Derby am I, who ready here do stand in arms to prove by God's grace and my body's valor in lists on Thomas Mowbray, Duke of Norfolk, that he is a traitor, foul and dangerous to God of heaven, King Richard, and to me. And as I truly fight, defend me heaven, on pain of death. No person be so bold or daring hardy as to touch the list, except the marshal and such officers appointed to direct these fair designs. Lord Marshal, let me kiss my sovereign's hand and bow my knee before his majesty. For Mowbray and myself are like two men that vow a long and weary pilgrimage. Then let us take a ceremonious leave and loving farewell of our several friends.
The appellant in all duty greets your highness and craves to kiss your hand and take his leave. We will descend and fold him in our arms. Cousin of Hereford, as thy cause is right, so be thy fortune in this royal fight. Farewell, my blood, which if today thou shed, lament we may, but not revenge thee dead.
Oh, let no noble eye profane a tear for me, if I be gored with Mowbray's spear. As confident as is the falcon's flight against a bird, do I with Mowbray fight. My loving lord, I take my leave of you, my noble cousin, Lord O'Meara, not sick, although I have to do with death, but lusty, young, and cheerly drawing breath. Lo, and at English feasts, so I regreet the daintiest last, to make the end most sweet. O thou, the earthly author of my blood, whose youthful spirit in me regenerate, doth with a twofold vigor lift me up to reach at victory above my head. Add proof unto mine armor with thy prayers, and with thy blessing steel my lance's point, that it may into Mowbray's waxen coat, and furbish new the name of John a Gaunt, even in the lusty behavior of his son. God in thy good cause make thee prosperous. Be swift like lightning in the execution, and let thy blows doubly redoubled fall like amazing thunder on the casque of thy adverse pernicious enemy. Rouse up thy youthful blood, be valiant and live, mine innocence in St. George to thrive. However God or fortune casts my lot, there lives or dies, true to King Richard's throne, a loyal, just, and upright gentleman, never did captive with a freer heart cast off his chains of bondage and embrace his golden uncontrolled enfranchisement more than my dancing soul doth celebrate this feast of battle with mine adversary, most mighty liege, and my companion peers. Take from my mouth the wish of happy years. As gentle and as jocund as to jest go I to fight. Truth hath a quiet breast.
Farewell, my lord. Securely I espy virtue with valor couched in thine eye. Order the trial, marshal, and begin.
Harry of Hereford, Lancaster, and Derby, receive thy lance, and God defend the right. Strong as a towering oak, I cry amen. Go bear this lance to Thomas, Duke of Norfolk. Harry of Hereford, Lancaster, and Derby stands here for God, his sovereign, and himself, on pain to be found false and recreant, to prove the Duke of Norfolk, Thomas Mowbray, a traitor to his God, his king, and him, and dares him to set forward to the fight. Here standeth Thomas Mowbray, Duke of Norfolk, on pain to be found false and recreant, both to defend himself and to approve Henry of Hereford, Lancaster, and Derby, to God, his sovereign, and to him disloyal, courageously and with a free desire, attending but the signal to begin. Sound the trumpets and set forward combatants! Stay! The king hath thrown his water down!
Let them lay by their helmets and their spears, and both return back to their chairs again. Withdraw with us, and let the trumpet sound while we return these dukes what we decree. Draw near, and list what with our counsel we have done, for that our kingdom's earth should not be soiled with that dear blood which it hath fostered. And for our eyes do hate the dire aspect of civil wounds ploughed up with neighbor's sword. And for we think the eagle winged pride of sky aspiring and ambitious thoughts with rival hating envy set on you to wake our peace, which in our country's cradle draws the sweet infant breath of gentle sleep, which so roused up with boisterous untuned drums, with harsh resounding trumpets, dreadful bray, and grating shock of wrathful iron arms, might from our quiet confines fright fair peace, and make us wade even in our kindred's blood. Therefore, we banish you our territories, you cousin Hereford, upon pain of life, till twice 5 summers have enriched our fields, shall not regreet our fair dominions, but tread the stranger paths of banishment.
Your will be done! This must my comfort be. That sun that warms you here shall shine on me, and those his golden beams, see you here lent, shall point on me and gild my banishment.
Norfolk, for thee remains a heavier doom, which I with some unwillingness pronounce. The sly, slow hours shall not determinate the dateless limit of thy dear exile. The hopeless word of never to return, breathe I against thee upon pain of life.
A heavy sentence, my most sovereign liege, and all unlooked for from your highness' mouth. A dearer merit, not so deep a maim, as to be cast forth in the common air. Have I deserved it at your highness' hands, the language I have learned these 40 years? My native English now I must forego. Now my tongue's use is to me no more than an unstringed viol or a harp, or like a cunning instrument cased up, or being open put into his hands that knows no touch to tune the harmony within my mouth. You have enjailed my tongue, doubly portcullised with my teeth and lips, and dull, unfeeling, barren ignorance has made my jailer to attend on me. I am too old to fawn upon a nurse, too far in years to be a pupil now. What is thy sentence then but speechless death, which robs my tongue from breathing native breath?
It boots thee not to be compassionate, after our sentence plaining comes too late.
And thus I turn me from my country's light, to dwell in solemn shades of endless night.
Return again and take an oath with thee. Lay on our royal sword your banished hands. Swear by the duty that you owe to God. Our part therein we banish with yourselves, to keep the oath that we administer. You never shall, so help you truth and God, embrace each other's love in banishment, nor never look upon each other's face, nor never write, regret, nor reconcile this lowering tempest of your home-bred hate, nor never by advised purpose meet to plot, contrive, or complot any ill against us, our state, our subjects, or our land.
I swear, and I, to keep all this, Norfolk, so far as to mine enemy. By this time had the king permitted us, one of our souls had wandered in the air, banished this frail sepulchre of our flesh. As now our flesh is banished from this land, confess thy treason ere thou fly the realm, since thou hast far to go. Bear not along the clogging burden of a guilty soul. No, Bolingbroke, if ever I were traitor, my name be blotted from the book of life, and I from heaven banished as from hence. But what thou art, God, thou and I do know, and all too soon I fear the king shall rue. Farewell, my liege. Now no way can I stray, save back to England. All the world's my way.
Uncle, even in the glass of thine eyes I see thy grieved heart. Thy sad aspect hath from the number of his banished years plucked 4 away. 6 frozen winters spent, return with welcome home from banishment.
How long a time lies in one little word, 4 lagging winters and 4 wanton springs, and in a word, such is the breath of kings. I thank my liege that in regard of me, he shortens 4 years of my son's exile, but little vantage shall I reap thereby, for ere the 6 years that he hath to spend can change their moves and bring their times about. My oil-dried lamp and time-duration light shall be extinct with age and endless night. By hint of taper will he burnt and done, in blindfold death not let me see my son.
Why, uncle? Thou hast many years to live.
But not a minute, king, that thou canst give. Shorten my days thou canst with sullen sorrow, and pluck nights from me, but not lend a morrow. Thou canst help time to follow me with age, but stop no wrinkle in his pilgrimage. Thy word is current with him for my death, but dead thy kingdom cannot buy my breath.
Thy son is banished upon good advice, whereto thy tongue a party verdict gave. Why, at our justice seemest thou then to lower?
Think sweet to taste proof into just and sour. You urge me as a judge, but I had rather you would have bid me argue like a father. No, had it been a stranger, not my child, to smooth his fault I should have been more mild. Impartial slander sought I to avoid, and in the sentence my own life destroyed. Alas, I looked when some of you should say I was too strict to make mine own way. But you gave leave to my unwilling tongue against my will to do myself this wrong.
Cousin, farewell, and uncle, bid him so.
6 years we banish him, and he shall go.
Cousin Farewell, what present must not know? From where you do remain, let paper show.
My lord, no leave take I, for I will ride as far as land will let me by your side.
Oh, to what purpose dost thou hold thy words, that thou returnest no greeting to thy friends? I have too few to take my leave of you, when the tongue's office should be prodigal, to breathe the abundant dolor of the heart. Thy grief is but thy absence for a time. Joy absent! Grief is present for that time. What is 6 winters? They are quickly gone. To men in joy, but grief makes 1 hour 10. Call it a travel that thou takest for pleasure. My heart will sigh when I miscall it so, which finds it an enforced pilgrimage. The sullen passage of thy weary steps esteem as foil wherein thou art to set the precious jewel of thy home return. Nay, rather every tedious stride I make will but remember me what a deal of worlds I wander from the jewels that I love. Must I not serve a long apprenticehood to foreign passages, and in the end, having my freedom, boast of nothing else but that I was a journeyman to grief? All places that the eye of heaven visits are to a wise man ports and happy havens. Teach thy necessity to reason thus. There is no virtue in thy necessity. Think not the king did banish thee, but thou the king. Woe doth the heavier sit, where it perceives it is but faintly born. Go, say I sent thee forth to purchase honor, and not the king exiled thee, or suppose devouring pestilence hangs in our air, and thou art flying to a fresher clime. Look what thy soul holds dear. Imagine it to lie that way thou goest, not whence thou comest. Suppose the singing birds musicians, the grass whereon thou treadest the present strewed, the flowers fair ladies, and thy steps no more than a delightful measure dance. For gnarling sorrow hath less power to bite the man that balks at it and sets it light. Oh, who can hold a fire in his hand by thinking on the frosty Caucasus? Or cloy the hungry edge of appetite by bare imagination of a feast? Or wallow naked in December snow by thinking on fantastic summer's heat? No, no! The apprehension of the good gives but the greater feeling to the worse. Fell sorrow's tooth doth never rankle more than when he bites, but lanceth not the sore. Come, come, my son, I'll bring thee on thy way, and I thy youth and cause. I would not stay. In England's ground, farewell, sweet soil adieu. My mother and my nurse that bears me yet, where'er I wander, boast of this I can, though banished, yet a true-born Englishman.
We did observe, cousin Omer, how far brought you High Hereford on his way.
I brought High Hereford, if you call him so, but to the next highway, and there I left him.
And say, what store of parting tears were shed?
Faith, none for me, except the northeast wind, which then blew bitterly against our faces, awake the sleeping room, and so by chance did grace our hollow parting with a tear.
What said our cousin when you parted with him?
Farewell, and for my heart disdained that my tongue should so profane the word, that taught me craft to counterfeit oppression of such grief, that words seem buried in my sorrow's grave. Marry, would the word farewell have lengthened hours and added years to his short banishment, he should have had a volume of farewells. But since it would not, he had none of me.
He is our cousin, but 'tis doubt when time shall call him home from banishment, whether our kinsman come to see his friends. Ourself and Bushy, Baggateer and Green observed his courtship to the common people, how he did seem to dive into their hearts with humble and familiar courtesy, what reverence he did throw away on slaves, wooing poor craftsmen with craft of smiles, and patient underbearing of his fortune, as 'twere to banish their effects with him. Off goes his bonnet to an oyster wench. A brace of draymen bid God speed him well, and had the tribute of his supple knee, with "Thanks, my countrymen, my loving friends," as were our England in reversion his, and he our subjects next degree in hope. Well, he is gone, and with him go these thoughts. Now for the rebels which stand out in Ireland, expedient manage must be made, my liege. If further leisure, yield them further means for their advantage and your highness loss. We will ourself in person to this war, and for our coffers, with too great a court and liberal largesse are grown somewhat light, we are enforced to farm our royal realm, the revenue whereof shall furnish us for our affairs in hand. If that comes short, our substitutes at home shall have blank charters, whereto, when they shall know what men are rich, they shall subscribe them for large sums of gold, and send them after to supply our wants. For we will make for Ireland presently. Bushy! What news? Old John of Gaunt is grievous sick, my lord, suddenly taken, and hath sent post-haste to entreat your majesty to visit him. Where lies he? At Ely House. Now put it, God, in the physician's mind, to help him to his grave immediately. The lining of his coffers shall make coats to deck our soldiers for these Irish wars. Come, gentlemen, let's all go visit him. Pray God we make haste and come too late.
Amen. Amen.